Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Roarivores Sinoceratops. Now, this figure is really frustrating for me, and I mean, this figure, genuinely makes me mad. It's not a bad figure by any means whatsoever. In fact, as far as, the type of dinosaur this is, it looks very good, but it's just what Mattel decided to do with it. What do I mean by this? Well, let's go back to when Fallen Kingdom was still in development. Basically, in this movie, well, first of all, in this movie, we get a ceratopsian by the name of Sinoceratops, which is the one that has a big horn on its nose, holes in its crest, which I think looks really weird, and honestly, I really, don't really like how that animal was designed in the movie. I don't hate it, mind you, but I don't love it, to be honest. But, yeah. Then, before the movie came out, the animal Sinoceratops was originally going to be a Pachyrhinosaurus, which is actually one of my favorite ceratopsians. Not my all-time favorite, but I really do like Pachyrhinosaurus. And it would have been great to see the animal in the movie, or at least in the Jurassic Park franchise. I feel like that would have been great, because we have Carnotaurus, which is my all-time favorite dinosaur, appear in Fallen Kingdom, so it would be really cool to see two dinosaurs that I really want to see in the franchise. Unfortunately, last minute, the director, J.A. Bayona, or maybe not the director, somebody making the movie thought, you know what, I don't really like the Pachyrhinosaurus. Let's just replace it with a Sinoceratops. I mean, alright, whatever, I don't really care, but, I would have preferred the Pachyrhinosaurus, but fine, that's fine. So, they already have a Pachyrhinosaurus figure. Instead of, just scrapping that and just kind of, making a new figure altogether, they want this figure to come out in time for the movie. So what did they do? They took the Pachyrhinosaurus figure, gave it the Sinoceratops color scheme, and just called it a Sinoceratops. So, yeah, if this figure looks not accurate to how it looked in the movie, that is because technically, this is not a Sinoceratops. This is a completely different species of, ceratopsian, which I think is very frustrating. I would have preferred nothing at all, to be honest. The Sinoceratops wasn't even in the movie for that long. It didn't really, do anything other than just, lick Owen's face, and that was pretty much it. So, yeah. Just, that, I think, is just very annoying, but anyway, I'm just rambling on. Let's just take a look at this. So first, we'll take a look at the paint. And the painting here, I'm not going to lie, the painting here actually looks kind of bad. Not because of, what they did. I think the colors look nice. It's just executed very poorly. The painting here is just kind of tacked on at last minute. So, yeah, nothing here looks great. So we'll take a look at the face really quick. And that white there, it's just slapped on. They just, that doesn't look clean at all. It just, no shading, no... That looks bad. In my opinion, that looks kind of bad. I'm sorry. But I think the painting for the crest here, on the ridges right here, and on the horns, I feel like that looks nice. But, again, there's no painting here. It's just, green, which looks very weird. The beak is painted nicely, but unfortunately, we do have more of this whitish color on the back of the leg, which, again, looks... I feel like looks the worst. And then, of course, the underside is just tacked on, as well as the back, and yeah. We'll talk about that in a second, but yeah, no, the eyes are painted black, which something that Mattel does, which I think is really weird. They need to give the figure a shine in the eye, so they just give it just a black eye, which is fine, but they just give it the color of the skin, the pupil. So this figure just has a green pupil. Not because, that's by choice. I did it because, the rest of the figure is green, so, yeah. I just think that looks very weird, but, yeah. Of course, the toenails on this animal are not painted at all. And, yeah. That's pretty much it for the painting on this figure. For the most part, it's bad, but there are some minor parts on this figure where it doesn't look the worst. I feel like the horns and everything on the crest looks nice, and the beak itself is painted very nicely as well, but the rest of the painting, I'm not going to lie, it doesn't look good. So, unfortunately, the painting does not get a pass. You know, it gets 1/4 of a pass, because there are some redeeming features, but for the most part, it is bad. So, 1/4 of a pass is what this figure gets in terms of paint. Now I'll take a look at the articulation, and the articulation on this figure is pretty basic for a ceratopsian in this line. So basically the legs can move in a 360 almost. Yes, I know you make noise, shut up. You do kind of have to force it, but I wouldn't recommend doing that because you do kind of like scrape against the figure. The head is very sensitive. We'll talk about that in a second, but yeah, no, and the legs can move outwards like so, as well as these legs. Are you done? We can do this all day. Are you done? Alright. So, yeah, no, the legs can move outwards like so. And, yeah, not a lot of articulation, but, you know, for, like, the main articulation, it's not, you know, it's basic, but, of course, we have a button back here, and because this figure will refuse to shut up, I'm going to show this right now. So, when you push this down, it's basically similar to the Triceratops that I reviewed a while back. You get a set of noises, so if you push it down once, you get that noise, which sounds nice. That noise, which also sounds nice. Again, some really nice sounding, you know, sound effects coming out of this. And there you go. Unfortunately, like, well, actually, wait, this is good. What? I don't know why I said unfortunately, but basically, with the Triceratops, they used a T-Rex sound effect at one point, which I think sounds very weird. Here, there is no T-Rex sound effect, which is very great, so I appreciate that. So, yeah. And that's pretty much it for the articulation on this figure. It's basic for a ceratopsian in the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom toy line, or just Jurassic World toy line in general, but it's not awful. It's basic, so I'd say it gets a pass. It's fine. Now I'll take a look at the sculpt, and the sculpting on this figure, you know, as far as Pachyrhinosaurus goes, the sculpting here is great. Of course, not only do we get an original head sculpt, what Mattel easily could have done was just reuse the Triceratops body and just call it a day, but no, this is actually completely different from the Triceratops. The Triceratops didn't really have like this shape of a back, and the legs I feel like are a lot, you know, thicker too. So, yeah, it's really cool to see, you know, an entirely new sculpt altogether. So, as far as as far as Pachyrhinosaurs go, the sculpting here is not bad at all. In fact, it's pretty good, but as far as Sinoceratops goes, yeah, it's wrong dinosaur. So, yeah, the sculpting, depending on how you look at it, it gets a pass. If you look at it as just a Pachyrhinosaurus, it gets a pass, but as a Sinoceratops, we're just going to leave that one unsure. So, yeah. Anyway, the sculpting, again, unsure, so let's just move on with the detailing and then call it a review. So, the detailing on this figure, not going to lie, is actually very good. So, of course, the detailing on the head here looks great. All these scales and all the creases and everything is very nicely defined. I actually, like, really like how that looks. Like, that looks really good. So, yeah. Anyway, going to the side of the body, we still get some very nice detailing here, the scaling, and we do get some osteoderms, which actually reminds me of the original Kenner Triceratops. So, yeah, I think that's really cool. And, of course, we get some creasing and, like, folds and flabs underneath right here, which, again, very nicely defined. Everything here looks great and very nicely detailed. And, of course, the scaling on the legs here, again, very nice. A lot of nice musculature, and the toes themselves are detailed nicely as well. And same with the back legs. Very nice detailing, nice musculature. Everything here is very nicely defined. And yeah, everything here looks great. And going to the tail here, we can see more osteoderms, more scales, and more really nice detailing. We do get a seam here, but that's mainly because you attach the tail after you take it out of the box. So, yeah. And that is pretty much it for the detail on this figure. And honestly, let me just fix this. The detail on this figure is actually really good. I think the detailing here is pretty exquisite, so the detailing on this figure definitely gets a pass. So, at the end of the day, should you get this? You know, if you want a Pachyrhinosaurus figure, then honestly this is the one to go for, because the sculpting is great. This is a great figure. It's just a shame that they just kind of like tacked on the paint and just called this a Sinoceratops. Like, again, I would have just preferred, like, you know, nothing at all. Or just keep the Pachyrhinosaurus and then maybe, like, a year later come out with a more traditional Sinoceratops. I feel like that would have been great. You really didn't have to just, you know, take an already existing figure and just, like, half-ass it, like, near, like, you know, right before you release it. So, yeah, not a bad figure. If you want a good Pachyrhinosaur figure, then definitely go for this, but if you want a Sinoceratops figure, then this is not for you. So, yeah. Anyway, if you want to know how big this figure is, then here it is next to Dr. Billy Grant, and they actually look pretty nice together. So, yeah. Alright, now that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zack out.